Hello there, those of you that were in the waiting room. Just gonna wait just a minute or two just to make sure that everybody has a good chance just to get into the link and all set up and stuff. In the meantime, if you are here though, I would love your feedback about the sound. Make sure if I'm not too quiet, if I'm not too quaint, or if it sounds like there's garden hose going on. That's also something I'm familiar with too. Yeah, probably start just a little bit. Last minute warm-ups. I'll officially welcome everybody just in as soon as I start the first piece. Just as us guitarists do in the great history of online concerts, we retune our guitar even though it's already in tune. Okay, so without further ado, I think I'll go ahead and welcome everybody and say hello. My name is Ben Diamond, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm here in St. John's, here in Newfoundland, and I'm going to be presenting my digital, I'll say, pre-release concert of Canadian guitar music, which I recorded in my debut CD, digital CD, that is this summer. And so, yeah, a little bit about me. I'm a fourth-year student at Memorial University here in St. John's, where I study with Sylvie Proulx, and I also teach at two different locations here in St. John's as well. One is focused on distance learning for rural Newfoundland students, and as well as at Dynamic Sounds Music Studio. Currently accepting new students for the fall, so for the winter, so keep me in mind for that, I guess. But as well as I also work with the Atlantic Guitar Society, which myself and artistic director Steve Murphy founded earlier this winter, and we're going to be taking on some projects, as well as another Art in the Time of COVID concert back on the November 22nd. Okay, so yeah, so I feel like I have enough of you here to proceed with the concert, and feel free, once again, if you have any questions or concerns about my sound or anything like that as well too, I'd be happy to adjust throughout the concert. And so without further ado, like many classical concerts, I'm going to start with two preludes. So by Dale Kavanagh, who is a Canadian composer, as you probably know, from Nova Scotia, and she is also based in Germany right now at Iserlohn, where she plays in an acclaimed guitar duo with her husband Thomas. And alongside of all of that, she's quite a fantastic guitar composer. And the way I came across these pieces was actually kind of funny, because sometimes, especially nowadays, you come across this piece that really speaks to you, even on something like YouTube Autoplay, exactly where I found these pieces. And so ever since then, I just started looking into the kinds of things she does, and lo and behold, she actually worked with my friend Steve Murphy at Acadia University, where she's an artist in residence. And so then later on, I eventually became in a close touch with her, and then she worked with us in our summer guitar festival called the Virtual Guitar Retreat. And yeah, and I just realized it just felt really, really natural to program these pieces, not just in my recording, but as well as up in my upcoming graduation recital in spring of 2021. So the recording that you're going to hear on my CD is going to be of Prelude number 2, but I'm going to perform Prelude 1 and 2 tonight. Thank you all again for being here, and I'm looking forward to catching up and telling a bit about the pieces, and throughout I'm always willing to see if you have any questions about anything as well, or concerns. Just going to do a little final tuning. So here's Preludes 1 and 2 from 3 Preludes by Dale Kavanagh. One of the things about online concerts is you expect a little bit of applause after, so I just decided to try and wait and see if I can grab as much silence as I could. But if you're joining in a little bit late, hello, I'm Ben Diamond again, and you just heard Dale's 2 preludes from 3 preludes for solo guitar, and Dale Kavanagh, that is, from Nova Scotia. And so those are also some of the first pieces on my recording, which you're going to hear as well. And as well as I would like to extend a very big thank you to ArtsNL and the Art in the Time of COVID concert series. It's an absolute privilege to be here and to represent classical guitar, and especially the types of music that I really feel very passionate about too. And I'm also looking forward to returning with the Art in the Time of COVID concert series on November 22nd with the Atlantic Guitar Society, where we're going to be having a fall showcase. In this case, I'm not going to be playing, actually. So we're going to have a lot of other young and as well as some other experienced guitarists that are going to be playing at a variety of different skill levels and ages as well. And it's going to really be a great representation of some of the guitarists that have worked very hard in our activities so far this year and have done such a great job. And I'm looking forward to hearing as well in the same space at the same place at the same time, and not in a live audience setting, but it's just great to hear just everybody play at their best, and as well as in a way that's safe and very I think very meaningful for an online meeting setting as well. Okay, so moving on to the program, in the very second piece on the CD as well as on the concert, I'm going to be playing 5 short character pieces by Andrew Stanland called Night Spirit Suite. A little bit about Andrew Stanland is that he is one of 2 acclaimed composition faculty at Memorial University who I have the privilege to study with. And as well as I've had the privilege to work with him in what's called a MUSEP position, so like a student internship position as well. And so this is one of the pieces that I think really sparked my interest and passion for working with living composers, because one of our projects was that he assigned me these pieces to learn and record in a video project, which is over 1,000 views now, which is pretty exciting for me. And it was great to have the opportunity to use this as kind of like a professional experience and realize that working with living composers is something you can do in many different types of styles and mediums as well. And so all 5 of these pieces, they aim to represent different scary creatures, we'll say, for the lack of a better description, because we have the very first movement, Sandman, which all the metalheads are going to get a direct reference out of. Ancient Ghosts, which features some tambura technique and as well as ornamentation. Creaking Tree, which we're going to hear some very harsh creaking noises as I scratch the strings a little bit. Full Moon Lullaby, which I would describe as having a very evidence of tone painting, as we don't really have that much action on the bass strings. In fact, I think the lowest note on the bass string is probably right there. If you were to hum that, I think that's a pretty comfortable note for like a lower tenor, for example. So it's it really keeps us up in the sky, we'll say. And then the last movement, Scary Clowns. Well, that's a pretty self-descriptive title, so I'm looking forward to you hearing that. And as well as all 5 of these pieces aim to be a very good introduction to extended techniques for intermediate to advanced guitarists as well too. And I really hope to depict some sort of atmosphere that I try to create in the recording as well. And it's a privilege to keep playing these and opportunities like this and so much and so on forth. So without further ado, we have Night Spirit Suite by Andrew Staneland. We have Sandman, Ancient Ghosts, Creaking Tree, Full Moon Lullaby, and Scary Clowns. And that's Night Spirit Suite by Andrew Stanland. Hear it in, I believe, its first digital recording format when I have the digital album release. So thank you, Andrew. I feel like, as well as thank you, Dale. I feel like you guys are probably in the chat tonight. So I guess it's a unique feature about this recording is that you can have not only all 5 of these composers on social media, but you can have them in a YouTube chat as well. So as I go into a more obscure tuning for the next piece, I figured I'd talk a little bit about the project and the origin behind this, and as well as the decisions on, I guess, like the who, what, the where, the when, and the why as well. So the title of the project being Prime is it's based off of one of the pieces, Prime Directive, which is basically my first commissioned piece, which I had the privilege to perform in 2019 at the inaugural 21st Century Guitar Conference. So as you can probably tell, that event in itself had a quite enormous impact on my artistic vision, I believe, because well, this piece in itself is an electroacoustic piece, meaning that it's played with electronics. And so that was something that really interested me in the development, and I think it was something I was never really familiar with to begin with as a classical guitarist as well. And it's as well as it really just sparked my imagination for the different kinds of sounds that you can achieve, especially with contemporary music and working with a composer and, I guess, making something new. And so, as well as prime, meaning first, as you might know, for example, like prime, I might be like first in line or something like that, and as well as prime because I was in a lecture at this conference with the acclaimed composer Stephen Goss, and he was describing the guitar and its repertoire to just be so absolutely beautiful and inspiring. I mean, perhaps that the guitar is in its prime right now, and that's something that I think really rung with me and still to this day because especially because one of the things he used to justify that was Leo Brouwer's famous guitar sonata written for Julian Bream is considered a warhorse in our repertoire, but it was written in 1990. So perhaps I might have already peaked that point where the Romantic era piano might have with Chopin and Liszt and some of the Beethoven sonatas. So I'm really curious to see about if we are in our prime right now, then where are we going to go in the future? And so, so that's a little bit behind that piece. And by the way, with Prime Directive tonight, the nature of the cues and the electronics, it makes it kind of virtually impossible to perform it as part of the program tonight, which is why I included another one of Dale's pieces, and as well as an encore piece, which you'll hear a little bit about as well too. But that means that you basically have to download the album and hear that, because that recording turned out fantastic as well, and it's something I'm really happy to incorporate as one of 2 electroacoustic pieces on this recording project as well. Okay, and so other things about the repertoire choice. We have quite a large influence of Newfoundland composers as well, too, because not only are a great deal of composers perhaps from Newfoundland, but we also have some composers that have had the privilege to work here in Newfoundland as well, and create these pieces actually in Newfoundland in the 21st century, that is, because actually all these pieces are in the 21st century as well. And so, so that's the thing that I feel is very strongly connected to this project. There's a little bit of, unity within all of the composers as well, too. And yes, but as well as not only, I think it really shows the potential of contemporary music, because I believe that each of these pieces are very contrasting from one another as well, such as the next piece, which you're about to hear, which I believe I'm probably close to tune, is Shadow Prism by Newfoundland composer Jason Noble, who is an alumni of the Memorial University Composition Program and is currently pursuing postdoctoral studies at University of Montreal. And I believe this is his only solo guitar piece. He also has a guitar duo arrangement, and as well as a large guitar orchestra piece, and as well as another piece with electronics. And so this is a piece that was written in 2015 for the acclaimed guitarist Steve Cowan, who is one of my all-time biggest mentors, and I'm sure is probably in the chat tonight. And this piece, as you probably might recognize, goes a little bit out of tune because what I'm doing here is I'm tuning, rather than using like the mechanical tuning ratio called equal temperament, I'm using just intonation, which is based on intervals, tuned to one another like this. So I'm just going to double check this. And so the specific notes that I'm going for here, they create a triad known as, in one of Stravinsky's most famous pieces, like Petrushka. So that's an A major and an E flat major, which create the Petrushka chord, which Stravinsky used throughout that piece as well. And as well as exclusively in this piece, it really embraces indeterminacy, improvisation, and as well as a large deal of natural harmonics based on the different nodes as well. And so, by the way, I'm going to test you on all these terms: electroacoustic, indeterminacy, improvisation, Canadian. Okay, maybe not that last one, but yeah. So this is a piece that's as well as it was premiered by Steve Cowan, but I played in quite a different way in some of the sections, and as well as another friend of mine, Michael Ibsen, is a fantastic guitarist based in the Netherlands, and as well as other guitarists who happen to take upon this piece, create a different interpretation and different soundscape with this piece, resembling what I might probably resemble as a shadow prism, if you will. So I'm going to just double check my tuning and get into another piece, and hope you've been enjoying the concert so far. Okay, so here is Shadow Prism by Jason Noble. Thank you, Jason. I'm sure you're probably in the YouTube chat as well. Moving on to the piece, we're going to stick with the theme of improvisation. And I'm going to just quickly just adjust my tuning a little bit, but I'm actually going to go get a different guitar, which is going to be in drop A, because the next piece, Violence, by my friend Holly Winter, who has already done some very emerging and accomplishing goals just within our short time of composing, is contributing one of the electroacoustic pieces to my program as well. So I had the privilege to perform this as well at the inaugural 21st Century Guitar Conference and the Canadian Music Marathon, which was, I think, almost 8.5 hours of music for guitar and electronics, which is, I think, probably a first for that in this regard. So I'm just going to quickly adjust. There we go. Should be good. Okay, so yeah, so this piece, you're going to hear references and some distinct, I would say, political soundscapes that music often does. Music is very reactive, but also can be very predictive to the surrounding world and to the global events as well. And so Violence is referring to some instances and even some dialogues which were taking place in the Brock Turner, the Brett Kavanaugh hearing, and as well as some other similar experiences like that, which is can depict very powerful emotions throughout the electronics, and there's symbolism with some of the improvisation decisions I make as well. And so, yeah, so with the electronics and the nature of this piece, it is called a free improvisation, which is, I would call in Shadow Prism, a guided improvisation. So I was given a select collection of pitches, versus this, I'm basically free to react and perform however I like. And before I proceed with the piece as well, I would like to thank Julianne Meany and Christina Bernando as well, who contributed to the electronic parts and some of the dialogue and the spoken text. And so without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and press play and just immediately rush back to my chair. So this is Violence by Holly Winter.
What is stronger than the human heart, which shatters over and over and still lives? What did I do? would you not believe me? Why would you have any reason not to believe me?
Thank you, Holly. I'm sure that you might not have been in the stream tonight. You'll probably be able to catch another time. But yeah, so you might be able to notice some quotations I might have used if you have a clever ear, especially for new music. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to my other instrument here now in just a second. And as well as, I had this the thought of as well as, yeah, so basically this piece was really created well with the Memorial University Electroacoustic Research Lab, and has been performed by myself and a couple of other friends, as well as for any instrument, and it's really a versatile piece. And as well as, yeah, this is what I was going to say, is the fact that the performance you just heard is completely different from what I did it in Ottawa, and as well as what I did in CD, as well as what I did it last week, because I'm able to explore and really come up with different ideas with each interpretation of this piece that I get to perform, which is something I'm really interested in, as well as learning some more electroacoustic pieces other than the two that you just heard in the program. Okay, so now we're going to go back to my other instrument, which I hope is kind of like somewhat in standard tune, with one of the, I'd say the largest piece on the program, called Hypothesis of Archons by Steve Murphy. And Steve Murphy is from Baie Verte, and he studied with Eugene Cormier at Acadia University, and as well as took some time with Dale Kavanagh. And alongside of that, he has a very busy studio of classical students here in St. John's. And yeah, he's been one of my closest colleagues in the last couple of years, and it's been an absolute privilege to work with him as well as on this piece. And so about this piece, it's called The Hypothesis of Archons. I could go into explain each of the 7 movements and what they mean in their context and stuff, but ultimately, it's in summary, it's about like a parallel universe, basically, where the universe is in peril and the humanity is really full of hatred and fear and agony and war, basically. And so we're going through this stepwise process of the creation of the world, and in this way, where basically everything goes wrong. But in the very last movement, Promise, we're greeted by angels who are able to come down and tell everybody that things are all going to be okay after all, believe us. And I think that's something I guess I really relate to now in 2020 with everything the way it is. And it just gives you a lot of hope, and there's so much contrast in character and things to really grab onto for, I think, for the ear as well, too. And yeah, I realize I have to go to drop D, so I'm just going to be a quick second. Here we go. Okay, so the 7 movements in their order are titled as Cries, Unformed, Voice, Choir, Lament, Dance, and Promise. Promise being the last movement. Okay, I'm going to double check my drop D rather than drop C sharp and a half. That's hilarious. Okay, so without further ado, The Hypothesis of Archons, I believe for the first time in its entirety, by Steve Murphy. And as well as this is a premiere recording on my recording as well. Thank you, Steve. That's a pretty long suite, but especially as you go through it, you feel like, wow, that's already at the end. It's yeah, real privilege to have put together that suite. It's I premiered the second movements, seventh and sixth and seventh last year at the Long McQuaid Guitar Camp, where I was lucky to be a guest artist and to host a masterclass and present a concert of contrasting works as well. And yeah, thank you once again, Steve. And before I conclude with my own piece as an encore for you all, I'd like to extend some very big thank yous. I have yet to mention Music NL, who have been absolutely incredible to me this summer. Not only have they presented a great deal of the funding for this project to really get it off the ground, but they have also funded the virtual guitar retreat, which myself and Steve organized in August. And very much grateful for you guys and look forward to working with you again. It's a real privilege, and I'm very, very thankful for all that you did to support this project as well. I think somebody should go back and rewatch and do like a privilege tally, how many times I've said that, but it's true. I mean, I very, very much a lot to be thankful and grateful for. I'd like to thank a lot of my incredible teachers, professors, choir conductors, school teachers, musical mentors, who have basically, I think that this is a really well-rounded representation of really what I feel really represents me. I feel like it's especially difficult as musicians, let alone people trying to find a career, to really find out what it is that we're really passionate about, that we want to keep doing with our lives. And this is definitely at least one of the things that I feel I really like. I really hope to look forward to doing, as well as working with all of these composers and many more, and in different kinds of settings. It's really cool to be able to somebody, I guess, that's pretty young for my age to be able to work with composers on a regular basis and premiere things. It's basically what we're doing is propelling the art form forward. And as Canadian musicians, with our little tiny population that we have on the planet Earth, it's really great to be able to be such a supportive community. And I feel so well supported, not just here in Newfoundland, but in Ontario, Quebec, and other places I performed as well too. And as well as thank you to my amazing family, my parents, who have just been the most incredible support system along every step of the way. All of my grandparents, my uncles, aunts, cousins, everybody, you name it. And it's just been really cool to see everybody so supportive and uplifting of this unpredictable and crazy career path. But it's been unbelievably rewarding. It's taken me to places that I never thought I would be, such as recording an album this year. I mean, if you had asked me back then in January, February, back when I was able to fly to places like on a vacation or go to Ottawa, if I was going to record an album this year, I would have probably laughed at you or something like that, to say the least. But it was great to see, I guess, how things turned out. I guess maybe perhaps everything happens for a reason. We'll see. But yeah, so as well as thank you all very much for bringing your time here tonight. It's always a privilege to give these, again, there we go, probably the 87th time I said that. It's always a great opportunity, I'll say, to present these online concerts. And thank you once again, ArtsNL and Charlene Jackson, for putting together quite an incredible array of Newfoundland musicians and artists alike in this online concert series. And I look forward to returning on November 22nd, as well as collaborating with ArtsNL in the future. It's really great to see how well dedicated you are to the well-being of artists in Newfoundland and Labrador, especially in this difficult time for sustainability and economic relief for artists when all of our gigs are canceled, basically. But yeah, without further ado, I guess kind of on that topic of gratitude and uplifting, I have my final piece here, which is something I wrote over quarantine. A lot of us performance people decided to write pieces over the quarantine times, and this is the fourth movement of a four-movement suite that is currently still in progress, called Suite Cognitive, and cognitive being French for cognitive, because each movement is named after a cognitive bias. And so the fourth movement is called wishful thinking, which means to be overly optimistic about a given situation. It's I think that optimism is something that I guess perhaps can describe how I feel about performing and things like that. It's just something that I really feel the immense passion and drive to do. And so, and as well as throughout the piece, it's rather short, it's about 2.5 minutes, and it demonstrates lots of references to modern jazz genres, Newfoundland jigs and reels, and as well as choral music, perhaps, because it takes a lot of quotations from a piece that I had written earlier in the year, which was supposed to be premiered on March 28th at an Earth Hour concert. This was called Aquarelle No. 1, A Cove, and it was dedicated to our dear friend Paul Benza, who I'm sure a lot of our viewers are familiar with, and it just really hopes to represent and depict his spirit, and as well as the great Julian Bream, who I dedicated this piece in particular to, who was basically one of the original commissioner guitar people, because he basically started really writing new music and premiering new pieces by some legendary composers such as Toru Takemitsu, Benjamin Britten, Malcolm Arnold, William Walton, just to name a small handful, while also being such an enthusiast of early music. And without further ado, I'm going to present Wishful Thinking for everybody. Thank you once again for coming to the stream. It's I'm looking forward to reading the comments. Almost said it again. I'm looking forward to reading your comments and rewatching it as well, and performing these pieces on a more regular basis. And stay tuned on my website, my social media, my website being www.bendiamond/the-horizontal-classical-guitarist.com, and as well as at Ben Diamond Guitarist on Facebook and Instagram, where you can get updates about the official digital CD release. Thank you once again. I'm going to go ahead and play some more music for you before we sign off tonight. Wishful Thinking from Suite Cognitive by me. hoping a nail would break there, but it didn't. Yeah, so that's the program for tonight. Thank you very much once again for tuning in, and look forward to getting in touch with you afterwards, and stay tuned for the official date of the digital release. And thank you all again. Thank you ArtsNL, thank you MusicNL, thank you every single person that was played a pivotal role in the creation of this project. And without further ado, stay tuned to ArtsNL on their Facebook page, where they provide frequent updates for the concert series, and see you next time. Thank you very much, everybody, and good night.